Hey there, movie fans! Coming at you with a huge, interesting collection of new films that have already dropped and are ready to watch. As usual, they've got different themes, genres, and ratings. Whether you'll dig them or not, that's totally up to your taste. If you've already checked out anything from this list, drop your thoughts in the comments to help others decide what to watch. Use the timestamps to jump to the options you're interested in. And please leave likes and comments so I know I'm not working for nothing. Alright, let's get started. Fight or Flight? A crazy comedy action flick similar to Bullet Train? The Federal Bureau is shocked. A black hacker known as the Ghost is crashing countries' GDPs, bankrupting major companies, crossing dangerous gangs, messing with oligarchs, and nobody even knows who he is. National security is on the line, so when they discover the hacker is flying out of Bangkok in an hour, FBI leadership starts freaking out. The problem? The only agent in Bangkok is the washed-up Lucas Race, whose career has gone downhill. But they've got no choice. They promise to restore Race's reputation if he delivers the Ghost to the States alive and put him on the right plane. But the success of the operation remains questionable. The plane is packed with killers who are also hunting for the Ghost, and Race doesn't even know what his target looks like. In the Lost Lands, a post-apocalyptic action film based on a George Martin story that might appeal to fantasy fans. It takes place in a future where our familiar world no longer exists, destroyed by wars. Survivors huddle in a single city under a mountain, surrounded by lost lands inhabited by various monsters. Supposedly ruled by a supreme lord and his queen, the city is actually controlled by an order determined to cleanse it of heretics and witches. But the powerful witch Grey Alice isn't so easy to deal with. She still helps everyone who comes to her and never turns anyone away. One day, the queen herself appears, wanting the ability to transform into a wolf, and there's no talking her out of it. To fulfill her request, Alice hires the lone hunter Boyce to help her find a werewolf's den. The Amateur? A spy action film where revenge catches up with the guilty from an unexpected direction. Charlie Hayler has loved solving puzzles since childhood. Maybe that's why he's now the smartest employee in the CIA's analytical department. Because of his intelligence, Charlie sometimes feels confined by his responsibilities and sticks his nose where it doesn't belong. Once, while checking documentation, he obtains secret data incriminating his boss. This is a case where it's better to keep quiet for your own safety, but sometimes other people's secrets come in handy. One day, his beloved wife Sarah becomes a victim of terrorists during a business trip to London. Charlie is shocked by the loss. Now, he doesn't care about safety and dreams only of revenge. So when the boss cuts him off from the investigation on a made-up pretext, Charlie resorts to blackmail. Holland. This slow-paced thriller, despite its low rating, is worth watching once if you're in the mood. Set in 2000 in the idyllic town of Holland, famous for its windmills and tulips. Here, in a large, beautiful house, live eye doctor Fred Vandergroot, his teacher wife Nancy, and their 13-year-old son. Nancy thinks she's lucky with her husband. Fred is a good father and respected in town, but his frequent business trips slightly bother her. He's always attending some conferences and trainings. She shares her suspicions about her husband having an affair with Dave, a shop teacher at school. Dave has been in love with Nancy for a long time, so he agrees to help spy on her unfaithful husband. But Mr. Vandergroot is smart and dangerous, and it's not so easy to catch him red-handed. Drop. A romantic thriller whose first half doesn't even hint that there'll be action at the end, but the finale will please you. It all starts when psychotherapist Violet decides to go on a date for the first time since her husband's death. Leaving her 5-year-old son with her sister, she goes to a restaurant with Henry, an attractive photographer she met through an app. They quickly develop a mutual attraction, but their conversation is interrupted by persistent messages from some stranger coming to Violet's phone. At first, they were harmless memes, but soon threats began. The stranger warns that if she tells anyone about her problems right now, she'll lose her son. Now, despite her anxiety, Violet has to pretend nothing's happening. She guesses the villain is somewhere nearby among the restaurant guests, but she has no idea how to identify him. L'amour of. A stylish, musical, and quite harsh French crime drama set in the wild 80s. The film was based on Neville Thompson's novel, Jackie Loves Jaunts Are Okay. The story begins when Quater, who grew up in a large family in a troubled neighborhood, falls in love with bold classmate Jackie, who was raised by her intellectual father and grew up in comfort. She's an excellent and diligent student, while the guy has an innate criminal talent and doesn't need teachers. Jackie was so charmed by the guy's recklessness that she missed the moment when he outgrew street hooliganism and became a member of an adult gang. The crooked path inexorably leads him to a tragic end, and only love can show the right way. The question is just one. Is Jackie ready to wait that long? You Are Cordially Invited, a light one-time comedy with Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell. Jim has always tried to be a good father to his daughter Jenny, whom he raised alone. But now, Jenny returns home from college and announces her engagement to a guy he never liked. They decided to have the wedding at the same place where Jim once married Jenny's mother, on Palmetto Island, which is so small that the local hotel hosts only one wedding per weekend. Jim books the hotel for June 1st, but due to an unfortunate accident, the reservation goes to Margot Buckley, the sister of a famous reality show host. And when on the appointed day, the newlyweds and guests from both sides arrive on the island, a conflict inevitably occurs between Jim and Margot. Last Breath. A deep-sea thriller based on true events and filmed quite believably. The work of industrial divers is dangerous and difficult. You never know how the next dive will end, but someone's gotta service all those underwater oil and gas pipelines. Chris, along with two more experienced divers, Duncan and Davey, descend to a depth of 90 meters to replace a pipeline on the seabed. Everything was going according to plan when suddenly a raging storm carries the ship away from the worksite. Chris is unlucky. The cable connecting him to the capsule breaks, he loses communication and oxygen supply, and falls into the marine abyss. And while the captain tries to regain control of the ship above, the divers below search for their missing comrade. They have 10 minutes total. That's exactly how long Chris will take to use up his oxygen supplies. The Monkey, a comedy horror film based on Stephen King's story of the same name, published in 1980, coincidentally the year of the monkey. The main characters are a boy named Hell and his cruel twin brother Bill. Their father, before abandoning their mother and disappearing, was a great lover of antiques. His last acquisition was a mechanical monkey with a drum. The brothers found it in their father's room. At first, it seemed the mechanism was broken, but it would have been better if it really was, because as soon as the monkey starts beating the drum, someone inevitably dies. Noticing this feature, each brother tries to use it, but it's impossible to negotiate with the monkey. It can't be controlled. It always does only what it wants. The Life List, an emotional melodrama about finding your place in life. You'll like this film if you're looking for something similar to Love Actually or P.S. I Love You. Elizabeth always favored her younger daughter Alex over her other children. Because of this, Alex slightly stalled in life, lowered her standards, and stopped striving for anything. Wise Elizabeth understood her mistake and, learning that she didn't have long to live, figured out how to fix it. She divided all her property among her older children. But for Alex to get anything, she would have to achieve all the goals from a list she made when she was 13. And she needs to do this by the end of the year. Mickey 17, a dark comedy sci-fi based on Edward Ashton's novel, Mickey 7. It clearly shows how difficult it will be for people in the near future to find their place in the sun. 2054. After failing in the pasta business, two friends, Mickey and Timo, sign up for an expedition to a distant planet. Timo proves useful to the team as a shuttle pilot, while the uneducated Mickey is only useful as expendable material. They perform deadly experiments on him, send him to certain death, and then quickly clone him and put him back in service. But Mickey 17 is unlucky. The news of his death was premature, and they've already printed version 18 in the printer. The bad news is that two simultaneously living clones shouldn't exist, and it's simply impossible to reach an amicable agreement with the aggressive 18th. The Accountant 2, a detective thriller in which the viewer, along with the characters, will have to unravel a complex puzzle of crimes. This is a sequel to The Accountant from 2016. In one of the nightclubs, private detective Ray King dies in a shootout. Treasury agent Mary Beth Medina's number was listed in his phone as an emergency contact, so she was called to identify him. The mysterious request to find the accountant on the deceased's hand also seems addressed to her. King was once Meredith's boss, and she considered it her duty to fulfill this request. The accountant turns out to be Christian Wolf, a math genius who once worked for the mafia. Wolf loves puzzles, but King's case is too complicated and dangerous, so he'll need help from his killer brother. Companion. This sci-fi thriller with elements of black comedy can surprise with plot twists, although it all starts quite ordinarily. Iris and Josh saw each other in a supermarket, and a spark ran between them. Iris has never been so happy. Not just a relationship, but a real idol. One day, the couple goes to the country house of Josh's friends for the weekend, and it's there that their love idol comes to an end. This happens after Iris learns that she is just a robot companion, and all her emotions, love, sadness, and guilt, it's all a program set up according to user requests. But that's just the beginning. Josh hacked access to hidden settings and used her for criminal purposes. But Iris still has a sense of self-preservation, so she intends to survive, whatever that means. Havoc. The film resembles the style of Sin City. Perhaps that was the intention, but in fact, it turned out to be an utter action movie mixing darkness, blood, dirt, shooting, and chases. In short, chaos. The setting is a gloomy metropolis whose slums are filled with murders, rapes, and robberies. The corrupt cop Walker, a kind of forest ranger, cleans it all up but does so without enthusiasm. After all, it's Christmas. Family life hasn't worked out. He rarely sees his daughter, and now his new partner talks too much. Suddenly, they receive an urgent call. Someone has shot up a drug dealer's gang. The suspects are two young men from the surveillance camera, one of whom can be recognized as the son of a billionaire politician with whom Walker conducts shady business. If the son isn't saved, his father will never fulfill his dream of becoming mayor and will make Walker the fall guy, so he has to go looking for the guy. Novocaine, a comedy action film about a guy who managed to turn his ailment into a superpower. People say about Nathan Kane that he wouldn't hurt a fly, but it's not about his character. It's about a genetic disease where you absolutely don't feel pain. This can be dangerous because you can get injured without even noticing it and bleed out, so he has to be like a wise minnow to avoid dying by carelessness. In general, Nate lives in San Diego, works at the Trust Credit Union, where everyone knows him as a quiet and non-confrontational guy, and secretly sighs over his pretty colleague Sherry. One day, armed robbers burst into their branch and take Sherry hostage. Nathan bravely rushes to save her, perfectly understanding that everything could end badly for him. But at that moment, his insensitivity actually seems like a blessing. Cleaner. A tense thriller that, like a mirror, reflects all the problems of modern society: terrorism, data theft, environmental pollution, the arbitrariness of the rich, and even autism, which has become a scourge in many countries. The action takes place in a beautiful London high-rise, where about 300 wealthy people have gathered for an annual gala concert held by a large energy company. The highlight of the evening was supposed to be circus acrobats, but instead, eco-activists arrived at the celebration with their own program, armed with good intentions, and not only that, they take the company owners hostage. Seeing this show, a female cleaner suspended in a cradle between floors didn't sit idly by. She has an autistic brother to care for, a tyrannical boss, and she really needs this job. In short, from this moment on, everything went off plan for the captors. Black Bag. A perfect thriller from the master of spy intricacies, director Steven Soderbergh. Special agents George Woodhouse and his wife Catherine work in the same unit, but don't share details of their missions with each other, even over dinner. It's not allowed. This doesn't prevent them from being the most loving couple in the office to the envy of colleagues. One day, George is informed that there's a mole in the department and that his wife is on the blacklist. After all, she has access to information, motive, and opportunity to pull it all off. George doesn't believe that Catherine is capable of betrayal, but it would be stupid to bet his head on it. Time for the search is running out, so he arranges a dinner to which he invites all 5 suspects and skillfully pits them against each other. Well, the stone has been thrown, and it will definitely cause waves. The Gorge, a sci-fi action film with a dark romantic twist. Somewhere on the border between two states, in a place invisible to satellites and classified, lies a mysterious ravine. It's guarded by two snipers whose watchtowers are located on opposite sides of the abyss. The guard's shift lasts exactly 1 year, during which they need to follow simple rules. Check in with headquarters every month, don't contact the other side, and kill anything that tries to get out of the ravine. During the next changing of the guard, former Marine Levi and Lithuanian mercenary Drasa settle in the towers. For some time, they actually follow the rules, but soon the staring game through the optics of sniper rifles bores them, and they find a way to communicate. But at this time, some devilry begins to happen at the bottom of the ravine, and the couple has to remember about work. Rich Flu, a sci-fi thriller that will appeal to lovers of allegory and uncovering global conspiracies. Due to the appearance of a strange virus, real madness has reigned in the world. It turned out to be quite selective, only killing obscenely rich people, while the poor had nothing to fear from it. The rich are hysterical, and, to save their lives, get rid of assets, sell them for pennies, give them to random people, or donate to foundations. But this isn't such a quick business, and the top of the pyramid immediately crumbled. Career woman Laura has dreamed of fame all her life, and even achieved some results, but the proverbial glass ceiling prevented her from getting rich. And then, during the viral hysteria, the coveted billions suddenly fall on her, but there's nothing to rejoice about. If she doesn't get rid of the money urgently, she's done for. That was the last new release in today's collection, but there will be many more collections ahead. Hit subscribe to get them regularly. I won't say goodbye for long. See you soon in a new video.